What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Chewburger84 here, finally back with some Strikeforce content, and we're going to get straight into this. Now, before we get started, of course, you do not see my not-so-handsome face up on the screen right now. Unfortunately, seeing the amount of gear I'm going to need to farm in the next 4 to 6 weeks has quite literally made me sick. And the last thing that any of you need right now is a bearded Australian thick of mucus. Because let's face it, ladies and gents, that is snot sexy. So Dark Dimension, for those of you who don't know, episode 3, so to speak, is on its way. We don't know when, we believe it's going to be soon, and my god does it look very daunting just to access. You are going to need an absolute bare minimum of 15 squads. Personally, I don't think this is a wonderful decision, but the reality is our job here at Alternate Reality is for all of you still playing this game, is that even when we do have uphill battles like this against the game, we need to give you a way to get there. And that's what this video is going to be. Now, for those of you that like to read rather than watch, we do have Pika, as usual, coming to the rescue. If you head on over to alternatereality.com, the link for the specific section you want is below. You'll be able to see everything that we talk about today in a wonderful, beautiful infographic, which again, Pika from Alternate Reality has crushed. And let's face it, if you're going below this video, while you're there, you might as well like, share, subscribe, do all the fun things, especially turning on that notifications bell. So here's what we know so far. You are going to need a global team at T14. You are going to need a cosmic team at T14, and you are going to need a city team. Oh my god, a city team. It is not pretty, ladies and gentlemen, but you are going to need that to be able to clear this particular thing. So Pika and I have put together a list of what we believe is the best all-round characters. Now, when I say all-round, we mean characters that we believe together can finish this game mode. We don't think they are the best for everyone because we don't know your roster. We don't know your yellow stars, your red stars, your pre-investments from your previous Fear the Darkness runs. Your rosters may be different. So, of course, those of you that have difference of opinion or perhaps are looking for some advice, make sure you leave your comments below and also head on over to our Discord channels where, of course, you can interact with us as we get closer to this event. Now, you are going to need to pull from bio characters, cosmic, tech, mystic, and skill. And if you want to spend the least amount of currency without overlapping, you are going to want only 3 of each of these. Now, the characters that we have selected today for the global, cosmic, and tech teams, we know they're not the cheapest. We've kept it as inexpensive as possible, but our goal is not just to beat Fear the Darkness. We want to make sure the characters that you have and you have selected here, A, can finish Dark Dimension, because just getting into Dark Dimension, as we know from last time, you might get stuck, and then you have to bring in rescue characters to be able to pull you out of the hole. But we also want you to be able to use these characters in other game modes. And we believe every single one of these characters has a valid reason to be in the game. Now, we also know that there needs to be more free-to-play friendly versions of the list that we have, because many of these options are currently either locked behind a paywall or are for very end-game players like those who have Ultron. So let's get straight into the specific teams. We hope you enjoy it. Again, please join in the conversation below. Let's start off with Global. Okay, so let me first start off by saying that the Global team is probably the one Pika and I not only went back and forward on the most, but we still agree that we're not 120% happy with it. The reason we have left it as is, and this goes for all of the squads we have at the moment, is that we do not know what characters are going to be released after November 2019. This team you see on the screen, what it's really missing is a healer, and our intention is to replace one of these mutant characters down the line with Beast. Possibly Colossus and Phoenix will go from this team to be replaced by Beast plus one of the other X-Men. For now, though, we believe if Dark Dimension 3 came out tomorrow, this team is capable of completing their sections. We know that it may mean you can only do a node a day or perhaps every 2 days, because when Phoenix dies, you can no longer use them. But we still maintain this is a team that can finish it, and it can hang for quite a long time, doing a lot of damage as you go. Especially by being able to bide your time and really unleash with Storm, perhaps after Phoenix converts into Dark Phoenix, and you have all those wonderful defense downs to play with. So let's talk through our decisions here. Ultron, because Ultron, he's the best character in the game. Phenomenal damage, support characters, buffs, cleansers, you name it. Now, we do recommend maxing all of his T4 abilities because every single one of them improves his kit in a massive, massive way. Now, he is a very expensive character to level, as all the legendaries are, but unfortunately, we believe he is worth it. And in every game mode in this particular mobile game, he is the best. Okay, you are going to use him, so there's no wasted resources there. Nick Fury is going to give a reliable and steady defense up to this team. He also has an uncanny ability to call in assists from the other mutants here. Now, the fact that Storm does the same thing means that you will be getting not very high damage, but very consistent damage in terms of heroes poking at the other team. He can also put offense up. He will be summoning a couple of minions at the start, but the reality is Ultron will mainly have the map to himself based on his summons. So the reliable defense up and the speed is why Nick Fury is here. Phoenix, again, a wonderful character. Admittedly, she is very short-lived, but she may give you the ability to go in, destroy a node, and then move on to the next one the next day. The good news is you don't have to wait to keep progressing, because she's going to punch big holes every time she logs in. Her special, ultimate, and passive are recommended for upgrading to T4 for maximum ability. With all these characters, this is to maximize them. Of course, you can go in with less investment than what you see. Now, Storm, it's all about her ult, but her passive is very nice in an X-Men team because it will be calling in Phoenix or even Colossus, and that means more offense downs or the ability to strip buffs from the other team, perhaps removing taunts out of your way. Now, having her basic, ultimate, and passive are going to be able to do all of those things. Now, for Colossus, we want his basic, ultimate, and passive. His job really is to soak as much damage as possible, and also to get those automatic taunts up when any of the mutants go down. Now, we do understand that obviously a healer will be better in this squad, so if you do have a very high level Sinister, while he is not my favorite character for this game mode, he may be usable, but it is going to be more as a healer rather than summoning his clones. Again, we don't love that choice. We do think that Beast, if everything that has been data mined about him so far is true, will end up as part of this squad. Now, you remember us saying that we can only have 3 of each trait per team? Why did we waste all our mutants on one team? It is because all the mutants are global. It's why they have to be here. The only exception is Cable, and Cable, of course, goes into Cosmic, but unfortunately, we cannot use him here. So that means these are our 3 mutants for now. Ultron and Fury are wonderful characters and are definitely going to see you through this node. So let's move on to Cosmic. The Cosmic team selection was one of the easiest and the hardest at the same time because there are some wonderful Cosmic characters to select from. But when you have to narrow down to skill, mystic, tech, and also bio, it does restrict our choices based on other teams. For this one, we have decided on Sif, Hela, Loki, Minerva, and Invisible Woman. I will be the first person to say this is probably the least free-to-play friendly team on the board. However, we believe this team as a whole is one of the teams that can get the job done, and we're going to talk about some of these weird choices, but why we think they may be the right choice for this game mode. So first of all, we have Sif. Now, she is going to be a punching bag. She is there to do her taunts. She is there to have a lot of her deflects absorbing damage when she can, but we know that she is going to die, but we're going to use that to our advantage, okay? We're going to do a little bit of an Ultron trick here using Hela, and that is exactly why she is here. Now, Loki, we debated a lot back and forth about Loki versus Thor to pair up with these 2 other Asgardians. And it comes down to this. If you have a very high level Thor with red stars, go for the Thor. You're going to be very, very fine. If you don't have decent red stars on either, we think Loki is the better choice. And it's because of his defense down. You see, the reason that Minerva was so unbelievably powerful in Fear the Darkness is her ability to use the high health of the enemy against them. Taking off 15% every time she did her ultimate from their health was huge. Now, Loki is going to do the same thing with his special. He is going to take 2 of their buddies, smash them against your primary target, and apply defense down for 2 turns, and then you're going to be able to hide a lot of your team away. Now, this is a wonderful ability to be able to get that defense down because it means you're going to be able to plug into it with Hela. Hela is then going to be able to use her ultimate to spread 2 turns of defense down to every single enemy on that node. Now, she does do piercing damage, so she is a lot more AoE damage than you think, even though her cooldown isn't exactly where we would love it to be. Now, there is no heavy hitter on this team. It is realistically a grind using Hela's AoEs, Minerva's heals to wean them down over time. Now, Invisible Woman is here because we want a reliable defense up, and we also want a reliable cleanse. And she brings both of those things to the table, and that barrier adds a little bit of backup, and also a little bit more protection to some of Hela's minions. Now, Minerva, not only is her ultimate insanely good, but the main reason she's here is for revive. People on your team are going to die during Dark Dimension. It is just what happens. Now, we know based on the frequency of the taunt, because it's on a very low cooldown, most of the time this is going to be Sif. So this team doesn't look like a team that you would get through a node like this, but it does have everything that you want. It has passive heals, it has cleanse, defense up, it has defense down so that you have increased damage, even though these characters are relatively low damage with the exception of Hela. This team is going to be reliable for Cosmic. Is it the best possible choice? Of course not. But this team allows you to have a lot of good tunes here without sacrificing from the other team selections of Global and City. So what do you think? Did we get it right? Leave those comments below while we move forward onto City. Now, the final team that you are going to need is a City team. And it's not really a slew of good choices. You see, we know that the Defender squad, while being the pinnacle of the game at one point, they have very much fallen behind. And the thing that worries us the most when we look at the City nodes is that one of them is guaranteed to have Sinister Six, which means that the logical choice of going heavy defenders may actually work against us if it's scaled very, very high. Unfortunately, the only team that has all the pieces of the puzzle, buffs, defensive buffs, offensive buffs, heals, cleanses, and then taunts, is unfortunately Defender squad. So what we have selected at the moment, and I want to preface this again, save the gear for these characters, but do not invest in it, because we are hoping against hope that Foxnext will realize we need some City love. Because if this is like most of the other Darkness dimensions, the last nodes are the hardest, and the City characters are the worst. So this is not going to be fun by any means. But this is the team we are going with for now, but by no means put those abilities in today. Do not put that gear in today. Grind them, save them, wait with them until we get closer to see what might be coming. Now remember, you can wait to do this team last because you can get through all the way of Dark Dimension until the City nodes without any of these characters being necessary. Alright, so let's start off with Luke Cage. He's a defensive tank. That's about all he's good for. He does do defense up to the rest of the squad, so he is going to apply a defensive barrier. The main downside of this character, of course, is that he is unbearably slow, meaning that you are going to eat a lot of damage from a team like Sinister Six before you even get to start. And if they have overtuned it like we think they probably will, that means you may lose characters before you even start, or you may have to burn Iron Fist heal immediately to be able to get started. So, to bring in a little bit of speed and a little bit of offensive power, we have dropped the Daredevil because, of course, we couldn't be able to use another one of his characters anyway, and we are using a tech character here instead. Merc Lieutenant is going to be able to heal himself. He is going to be able to speed up this team very regularly, as well as providing them with offense up. and there is nothing wrong at all with an offensed up Punisher, especially if he's able to go off versus something like a Sinister Six. That villain bonus is nothing to be sneezed at. Now, Jessica Jones is here because she is a wonderful energy battery. She's going to have energy flying around this team and is going to be able to cleanse abilities and has a very reliable buff removal. So if you do go up against another Luke Cage, a Rhino, a Thanos, her ability to remove high-level taunts is amazing and should not be underestimated. Now, her basic in this team is actually well worth putting a T4 in. In fact, all of her abilities are, because of the ability to have extra energy flying around the defenders. Iron Fist is here to heal this squad, both passively and, of course, with his actual heal. And obviously, the more red stars you have on Iron Fist, the better chances this team survives. But the reality is our hopes for Luke Cage are not great. We do think he is going to suffer a great many deaths. Punisher is your main DPS from this squad. Okay, he has a lot of very high damage, even versus normal characters. But on those villains dense nodes, Punisher is going to be wonderful, especially because he's going to be attacking almost exclusively with offense up from the Merc LT. So on paper, we know this team has everything that you need, but we really do think that this team is going to struggle unbelievably. In fact, all City teams will with this particular nodes of City. An argument could be made for Sinister Six or a Spider-Verse hybrid because you could use them to very, very, very fast wipe out the enemy team. The problem is how many of them have the same traits that you are going to need in other nodes. Unfortunately, for bang for buck, if you want to average out, and the Defenders being a decent team in all game modes, not the best anymore, but a decent team, unfortunately, if you had to do it right now, we think this is the squad. So save those materials, save them for a couple more weeks, a couple more months, until you actually need to go into the City nodes before you start this process. We hope that the Defenders with Merc LT rushing them from behind are going to have enough juice to take it down. But at the moment, this is the best of a very, very, very bad bunch. And unfortunately, it is a bit of a subtle dig at you, unfortunately, from Fox Next of requiring them for the end nodes of this. So we hope that you enjoyed this video. We love to keep this conversation going over the coming weeks and months. Do you think we got it right? Do you think we got it wrong? Post in the comment section below. Head on over to the Alternate Reality Discord channel. And of course, make sure you get those downloads of our infographics from the Alternate Reality website. When you do share them with your Alliance mates or Facebooks, please do us a favor and share the website. That way people can see that we do have a wonderful collection of these from our buddy Pika, sitting there waiting for them. Whether you're a new player or an established player, his guides are wonderful. All the strategy becomes from he and I together, but everything that makes them pretty, shiny, and easy to read is 100% all the man himself. Thanks for watching. We're going to be back with much more regular content going forward over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see you very soon. Cheers.